Secretary of State John Kerry appear to downplay the ISIS threat as terrorists continue to kidnap and execute hostages, often targeting Christians, threatening to launch terror attacks in the United States and beyond. Here's what Secretary Kerry said yesterday. Listen carefully.
Our citizens, our world today is actually, despite ISIL, despite the visible killings that you see, and how horrific they are, we are actually living in a period of less daily threat to Americans and to people in the world than normally.
That got a lot of people shaking their heads. KT McFarland served as Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense in the Reagan administration. She's also Fox News national security analyst. KT, good morning to you. What's your reaction? What do you think John Kerry was talking about yesterday?
Look, you know, Martha, somebody really smart once told me when politicians tell you something, they're going to tell you what they think you want to hear. And when the real professionals, the military, the intelligence community tells you something, they're telling you something they think you need to hear. And I think what Secretary Kerry was talking about is what he thinks you want to hear. They think that if they speak no evil, if they see no evil, if they hear no evil about the threat of Islamic Jihad, then somehow they don't have to do anything about it, and therefore it doesn't exist. The problem is it does exist, and as our intelligence officials are telling us, it is gaining ground, it has momentum, it is now covering the size of a region in the Middle East greater than Great Britain, and that it's rich, it's recruiting, and it's on the rise. So I think that I'm going to listen to the national security and intelligence professionals to make my assessment, not the politicians.
It also seems that there's just a real sort of tin and air lack of sensitivity that a lot of people have noted in that comment. I mean, if you're the family of Kayla Mueller or Jim Foley or Steven Sotloff and you hear that, you know, it's got to make you feel a bit like the government is not hearing and seeing the reality of what's going on. It's kind of like, you know, if there's 3 massive, horrible hurricanes and towns get wiped out, and then they come on and tell you, overall, hurricanes are actually down in this country. It doesn't matter if you're the person who's affected by it. I want to play another exchange for you, KT, because this mode of talk has been going on for quite some time. This is Josh Earnest back in July.
How does the White House react to the notion that the president is a bystander to all these crises?
I think that there have been a number of situations in which you've seen this administration intervene in a meaningful way that has substantially furthered American interests and substantially improved the tranquility of the global community.
Yeah, it's quite clear there's an increase in the tranquil global community out there, KT. I mean, you've got new warnings from the State Department since Tuesday. Algeria, Chad, Nigeria, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Kabul, and Oman just this week.
Well, you know, the President and the White House and Secretary Kerry, they keep talking about this global community as if somehow leading from behind means that all the other right-minded communities in the world are going to come together and the great arc of history will improve everything eventually. The problem is that we face an existential threat from radical Islamic Jihad, and it's not going away. It's in fact increasing. We've seen the brutality, the bestiality, and I think what the intelligence community director is going to tell us today is they think, the people in ISIS think that it is not only their right but their responsibility to kill anyone who doesn't subscribe to their particularly twisted brand of Islam, be they Christians, be they Jews, be they atheists, and most particularly, be they other Muslims. That threat doesn't go away on its own. We will eventually have to confront it. My hope is that we will somehow bring all the elements of national power together to confront it before nuclear weapons are introduced to the region. And the other thing is, you know, Martha, when people say, well, we'll put 1,000 troops in or we're going to put a few boots on the ground, that's not the problem. The problem is so much bigger than that. It's not ISIS, it's Al-Qaeda, Al-Shabaab. It's all of the different groups who are on the march in more parts of the world and in greater strength than ever before. You only defeat this militarily, economically, diplomatically, politically, and with an alliance.
Yeah.
And none of those things are
comprehensive
happening.
Strategy that we seem to be missing.
Exactly.
You know, one of the reasons that they may be talking like this is that they don't want the groups out there to have it look like we're being drawn in and having us come into their circle physically as well with boots on the ground is exactly what they want, the administration might argue.
But whatever the administration's doing, it's not working. They can say it's working, but the proof is that it is not working. Islamic Jihad is recruiting more, whether they ignore the threat or frankly when President Bush put 150,000 troops in Iraq. We have not yet figured out how to deal with this enemy, whether it's engagement completely or no engagement. Maybe the answer is to try something different, because what we've done for 15 years hasn't worked. The threat has grown, and again, my concern is as nuclear weapons are going to be introduced into the region with Iran, that means everybody will think they need their own nuclear weapons, and then you have the most dangerous weapons in the world and the most unstable part of the world.
Boy, and you're at CPAC, where a lot of people are hoping to be the next president, and boy, that job description is a very big one when you look at the world right now. KT, thank you very much. We'll see you later.